Most of us use smartphones in just about every aspect of our lives today, but they have absolutely ruined the dating experience. Now, although we use our smartphones in the dating world today, we use dating apps, we use Instagram, we use text messages, we use voice calls, video calls, these kind of things, voice notes, I'm here to argue today that they have actually completely screwed up the dating experience. So let's get stuck into my analysis of this. To start off with, let's rewind even before smartphones. Just the advent of the mobile phone itself created an entirely new aspect of quote-unquote game. That's text messaging. That's basically text game. So now, for guys, not only do you have to be charming in person, you also have to be able to translate that into the written form, which isn't the exact same skill set. Yeah, there's elements that are overlapping, but it's absolutely a completely different skill set. So what that's done for dudes is it's basically just created an extra hurdle in the way to courtship and basically getting into a sexual interaction or a relationship with a woman. Before the mobile phone, people used to make plans and stick by them. Until you were able to instantly contact somebody because you knew they had their phone in their pocket, until that was a regular common thing that everyone has a mobile phone. Before that happened, you would make plans and you would go to those plans. You had integrity, you had a reputation to uphold, right? It was a very common thing. But when everyone started carrying around mobile phones, well, now you can flake at the very last minute. You can text someone and cancel on them at the very, very last minute. So what this has created is it's created that scapegoat. It's created the ability to be flaky far more easily and with a lot less social stigma than what it entailed in the past. In fact, it was actually my college warden who pointed this out to me. He said, "You know what the problem with your generation is?" He was like in his 60s, 70s when I was like in my early 20s then. He said, "You know what the problem with your generation is?" I'm like, "What is that?" He's like, "Your generation can't commit to a plan." Because we were having this, we were putting on an event, and he wanted the students to RSVP to a particular formal dinner. That was it. That was why he said it. And half the college hadn't RSVP'd yet, and it was like a couple of days away. And the kitchen needed to know numbers, et cetera, et cetera. And he's like, this was never a problem in generations past, but your generation has this problem where they're all waiting until the last minute before they commit to something because they've got better options because a better option might present itself at the last minute. I thought that was, when I heard that as a young man, I thought that's actually a pretty accurate assessment. He's not wrong. We all kind of do this now, but it's especially, a big hindrance for dudes when it comes to dating, because women have an abundance of options. They're being hit up all the time. They're constantly being presented with different options to weigh up, which makes them more flaky, which makes them not commit until the very, very last minute, and then they're juggling all these different options. It's, oh, that one's more fun, let's go with that one, right? It makes that very behavior possible. Smartphones have also massively reduced our attention spans because we have access to social media at the touch of our fingertips, right in the palm of our hands. We can access any piece of information on the internet that we choose, and instead we sit there watching cat videos on TikTok. And that says a lot about human nature. Like the human brain was not designed for something like TikTok. Like it was not designed for social media, modern social media with Instagram and Twitter and things like YouTube. So this is why, and smartphones especially, this is why they become kind of addicting, or at least you would say habit forming for a lot of people, because you just got this constant changing and this constant dopamine hit as you're scrolling, as you're checking out new things. It's constantly new, constant variety, right? That's just massively, massively reduced people's attention spans, which again makes it a lot harder to grab somebody's attention, aka a young woman, a beautiful young woman you're trying to, take out on a date, you're trying to seduce. It makes it harder to grab people's attention when their attention spans are less than that of a goldfish. The lethal combination of high quality camera phones plus social media all in the same device has blown up the female ego and has led to this addiction, or I should say exacerbated and fed this addiction for attention and validation in the Western female population. Like the whole of the female population on the entire planet that has access to a damn mobile phone. It's just tapped into that, the worst kind of aspects of female nature, that absolute desperate need for attention and validation, and jacked it up, like dialed it right up to 11. Obviously, most of us know by this point how Instagram has totally screwed up the dating marketplace, the global dating marketplace, because what did it do? It allowed the top kind of echelons of men to have access to women and be able to message women all over the world. So now, Bobby the baker, who lives in, the countryside, who used to be able to, maybe at one point he was going to marry the most beautiful woman in his town, or the bricklayer. He actually might have had a chance with her. But now she's being hit up by some Arab oil sheikh through her Instagram DMs, because she's posting photos of her online. It's getting lots of traction because there's tons of thirsty simps on Instagram, all liking her pictures, blowing up her following, making her stand out, putting her on the For You page. Oh, and now the world's most high-value men, the world's most attractive men, can see that woman, can interact with her, and now Bob the bricklayer, or Timmy the baker or whatever, doesn't have a goddamn chance in hell because he's competing with guys who are way, way out of his league, who are way higher in their social standing, who have accumulated more wealth, who have more value, who have more excitement to offer her than he ever did. If you want to get a woman addicted to your attention, one of the best ways you can do that, in my personal humble opinion, is to absolutely blow her mind in the bedroom. So I suggest you check out my video course right up here. Here is an insight into the damage that smartphones have done to relationships that I've never seen anybody else talk about. So I think this is going to be a unique insight for you guys to hear. And that is, because she knows that you have your phone on you, she can constantly nag you. If you're in a relationship with a woman, she can constantly be in touch with you. And so she expects you to be constantly in touch with her. Rewind the clock not that long ago. If you went on a business trip for like a week, she didn't hear from you. Okay, maybe you'd give her a phone call every now and then. But nowadays, if you go on a business trip, your partner, your significant other, if she's missing you, which is a good thing, don't get me wrong, but if she's needy for your attention, she is going to be constantly hitting you up, constantly pinging you, constantly trying to take away your energy, your focus, and your attention. Whereas in the past, she couldn't do that. She had no way of interrupting your day. She had no way of reaching out to you. And I think, personally, this is the most destructive part of this technology, what it's done for male-female dynamics. Men need time away from women. You take any man who is constantly surrounded by his missus, and you watch his lust for life disappear rapidly. Just being around that feminine energy all the goddamn time is not, in my opinion, healthy for men. Men need to be around other men, doing men things, and then spare some time and go interact with women. It requires a balance. But now, you can't really get away from that unless you set boundaries and enforce boundaries and enforce a certain standard of behavior and of communication with your woman at the very onset of the relationship. But this idea of her constantly being able to be in touch with you, and the important part is that it creates the expectation that you will be constantly in touch with her, which just feeds that neediness. It feeds her need for validation and attention. Now, the fact that she can get in constant contact with you also means that all these thirsty simps and white knights and orbiters that are in her Instagram DMs or whatever, all these dudes in waiting can be in constant contact with her as well, constantly giving her attention, constantly giving her validation, constantly feeding her ego, constantly blowing her up. And that as well doesn't help the overall result of having a healthy male-female relationship. Imagine back in the day, okay, I am a woman, she stays at home, I'm off on a business trip for the weekend. Unless she goes out of the house, and goes to some kind of social event, she isn't going to be hit up by a bunch of dudes. She's going to be hanging out with the kids or hanging out with her girlfriends or whatever. But as the man, I know, okay, I haven't got that much to really worry about. Unless it's the milkman, right? That stereotype back in the day. But now, no matter where I am, there's a whole horde of simpy dudes in waiting, like trying to strike at any given moment. So again, that creates this constant competition for dudes. Men used to be able to go off and do important shit and then come back to their woman. But now, your time and your attention and your energy and your focus is demanded a hell of a lot more by the modern day woman. Now, if you'd like to learn some practical strategies for navigating the current dating landscape, I suggest you check out this playlist right here.